One other quick note that I want to give though about the performance thing is because I've talked to a lot of coaches and they're just like, oh, we heard caffeine is great for our players. Let's just put everybody on them. And that's not the right approach because
That's awesome.
For a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why this is a problem. But the first is every individual's a little bit different. And that being said, there is one global effect of caffeine that pretty much everybody gets, which is it has this adenosine antagonism, which all this means is it blocks your perception of fatigue that is accumulated. It doesn't give you energy, actually. All it does is it blocks the sensation of the fatigue that is existing. The fatigue is still there. It doesn't actually boost your energy like a lot of people say. It just blocks this fatigue that you already have. So the second that the caffeine wears off, a lot of times people are like, oh, it's a caffeine crash. It's not really a caffeine crash. It's a you crash because you have fatigue.
You're just crashing in general, yeah.
Yeah, you're just crashing in general. This is your fault. It's not the caffeine's fault. A lot of people blame the caffeine, but it's really your fault. I just want to highlight, so that is a global effect, is it blocks your sensation of the fatigue that is there in your brain. But what is unique to individuals is whether or not caffeine can be used, at least in the realm of esports, but what is unique to individuals, whether or not caffeine can be used for performance enhancement on cognitive metrics. So like, reaction time and all this other kind of stuff that people like to cite that caffeine is good for in esports. And what you see, it's roughly, this isn't strictly true, but like it's roughly like a 1/3 split where maybe like a third of people see enhancements, performance enhancements from using caffeine. A third of people see no change. And then a third of people will actually get worse. Like they will literally get worse when you give them the caffeine. So if you force your team to take it, then like a third of your team is going to be getting worse with it, which kind of sucks. And you can normally spot these people out actually. And so like your mother would be one of these. The people who tend to naturally avoid caffeine because they say like, oh, it makes them feel anxious or jittery or whatever. Those people know. And so they've just naturally self-selected that they're not caffeine drinkers. Those tend to be like 9 times out of 10. Those are the people who, when you give them caffeine, they actually get worse on it. And they just were listening to the cues that their body was giving them. So it's important to distinguish like, okay, if you're just trying to alleviate the sensation of fatigue for a little bit, yeah, caffeine will work for you. But if you're using it strategically, even then it's not going to work for everybody. But for the people it does work for, it does work out tremendously and it still can have a possibility of use for that blocking of fatigue. Like if you just have a long day because you traveled or something and it's like, I have to perform and otherwise I'm going to be performing really terribly because I'm so fatigued. Yeah, sure, you can still use caffeine to leverage it that way, but just being mindful about that fact that it doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, I actually read the same thing in, when I was doing some review looking at energy drinks or powders or whatever. The research I read was like, it really depends, and it really depends on the person because there is a Goldilocks zone too with caffeine. This is way too much and it's not effective, this is not enough and it's not effective, and then there's that perfect spot where this thing will give you this much boost and there's a max to it, and then there is diminishing returns where if it's too much it's not good.
Yep.
And so why I think that's even more interesting than in drugs in general that you're saying is like not only is there a Goldilocks zone for caffeine needs to at least have this for the general population to be effective, but there's also a Goldilocks zone for your individual Goldilocks zone of what you need for your own performance, and you can mess that up or affect it by, if you use it every single day, you only use it on performance days, you're not used to the effects, you like the effects. And so I think that's the other really interesting thing where we can talk about generalities in this conversation or discussion, but it really is at a certain point of like, okay, you have to do some self-science now.